Hi, I'm a musician, allegedly, but whenever I sit down to make music, I usually don't end up finishing anything because I add stuff to the project until it sounds awful and has completely lost its integrity. I have over 600 project files on my computer and only about 30 finished tracks. If I'm being real, the only reason I'm calling those tracks finished is because they're exported from the program. In that regard, they are free, but only for now. I saw somewhere that you can apparently overcome this by setting limitations before starting a project, like I will only use 5 instruments or the duration of the song will be 1 minute, and then sticking to that decision. But I wanted to go even further than that and actually not have control over those limitations either. I want a chance to determine how many instruments I'd use or what key the song would be in, because I don't like any of my decisions. So I grabbed my bag of D&D dice, I haven't used these in a while, and rolled a bunch of times until I had an idea for a song. I'm gonna use a different color for each one. I rolled a D8 for the number of different chords I was gonna use. So that's a 5. This is gonna be a 5-4, isn't it? A D12 for what notes we're going to be using them. It starts on C, C, C sharp, D, D sharp. You get it. 9, 1, 5, 10, 2, and another D12 for how many instruments there were going to be. 7, okay. Looking at these, I already felt like I had a place to start. I had a goal in mind, instead of an aimless desire to make music. So I began my journey. I loaded up a piano and tried to create a chord progression that fit the restrictions we've determined. I needed to use 5 different chords in what I like to call the main chord progression, and they needed to contain C, C sharp, E, G sharp, A. 4 of these notes belong in the A major scale, so that ended up as the key of the piece. There was only one odd one out, that was C. To remedy that, I immediately wanted to switch from A major to A minor in the progression, as I always appreciate an excuse for a good shift like that. After that, the progression happened very instinctually. I had 2 ideas that I couldn't pick between, hence this video. So I went to bed and I woke up having made up my mind. This is why sleep is an essential part of the production process, you guys. Once I had this loop, I was ready for production. Wrote a simple beat under it to feel the rhythm a bit easier. I spent a few centuries picking synths. Originally, I was going to roll for plugins as well, but the idea of getting 2 saws on top of each other terrified me so much that I backed out from that. I added a bass line, added a pan flute, because you simply can't forget about the pan flute. I took a break to fiddle around with the synths because it's fun. Then I started structuring the song. I wrote a simple intro that just felt right, finished up the main loop, and wrote a bridge. The bridge ended in C sharp minor instead of A major or its dominant key E major, but I liked that, so I kept it. I did return to the same melodic motif, so it didn't stick out that much. Plus, C sharp minor has a lot in common with A major anyway. I was limited to 7 instruments, so I decided adding vocals would actually vastly improve everything, and don't you dare tell me that vocals is also an instrument, because maybe you're right. I found a poem I wrote some years ago in my junk drawer folders, which, by the way, this is why you should never delete your unfinished projects. You may not come up with something big at the time, but that puzzle piece will be a part of something larger that your future self will eventually create. So hold on to it. I thought this poem wasn't particularly special at the time, but in this song it found its rightful place. It is also quite important to make sure your vocals match the beat of the song. If your vocals and the beat complement each other, it hardly matters what the lyrics themselves say. But it's always a good idea to make them nice too.
I'm Hans Zimmer, and this is my masterclass.
By this point, I had a structure, I had used up my instrument quota, and I was mostly finished with the lyrics. So I recorded vocals and dove into the actual production and mixing. The 7 instruments I ended up using were drums. I pretty much only used the kicks, snares, and toms from Expand, God bless Expand, pan flute, bass, sparkling, heavy breathing, cosmos, and virtual brass ensemble. 5 of these were from Expand, and 2 of these were from a free VST called Synth 1 by Daiichi Laboratory, so I only ended up using 2 VST plugins to make this. And this is what came out. It was mind-blowing and so satisfying to record myself producing. I was able to see a project go from nothing to something. I worked on this project for 32 hours apparently, which is a small number compared to how I usually am. Putting limitations from the get-go made me actually finish something. Please try this yourself with whatever artistic project you're making. You will likely surprise yourself. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the song, it's available on Bandcamp, probably soon. I'll go back to spending the rest of my life on that single now.